Then, to make everything even more complicated, Tupac enters the picture. Oh yeah, we're going there. Just top my tea off. So, as it turns out, Tupac also had beef with Bad Boy. He blamed them for an incident that took place in 1994, where he was shot and had a very expensive piece of jewelry stolen from him. Tupac blamed Biggie Smalls and Diddy for orchestrating that whole thing. Why, I'm not really sure, but that is neither here nor there. We are not touching that. But some more lead up. At this point, Death Row is just full of Suge Knight's friends, gang members, maybe? And even some off-duty LAPD police officers are found hanging out there who were later involved in that whole police corruption thing. And Suge is just gaining more and more and more control over the label, and he's enjoying the spotlight, and he's also enjoying the violence. And if you'll recall, he co-founded Death Row, so there's some stuff going on behind the scenes. And a lot of people involved probably knew that things were coming to a head. And sure enough, September 1996, Tupac is shot and killed. You probably already knew this. The next March, Biggie Smalls is shot and killed. You probably knew this as well. And at this point, given everything that we've gone through, you're probably thinking the same thing that myself and many others are assuming at this point. Obviously, Bad Boy put out a hit on Tupac, and therefore, in retaliation, Suge put out a hit on Biggie. I mean, right? They were both killed in hit and runs, right? Like, the parallels there, right? Well, if you know anything about the history of Tupac, you know nothing's quite that simple. Some former Death Row members, actually specifically
Snoop Dogg,
one of them, they think that Suge orchestrated both. And there's another feud! The theory there is that, well, Tupac, not so quietly, was actually intending on leaving Death Row Records. He was about to put out his last album, and then up to this point, he had kind of avoided the whole gangbanger thing, and he was ready to move on to something different before you got sucked in deeper. But since Suge would have known this, it's theorized that perhaps Suge put a hit out on Tupac before he could go. So there couldn't be bad blood, so he couldn't have left. But then, what about Biggie? Why go and kill him? Like, if it was you, and this isn't a revenge killing, then why? And the theory there is that Biggie was murdered by Suge as well, to pull attention from the Tupac case? This whole theory implicates Suge, a cop, a mortgage broker, and the chief of police. But I am not touching that with a 10-foot pole right now. Oh, God. Oh, the heartburn. Anyway, some additional flavor while this all went down. December 1995, the Dogg Pound, which is a group from the West Coast, has their trailer shot up. Suge thinks this has to be Diddy's doing, again, for some reason. And as a result, Suge apparently forces a music producer to drink urine from a champagne glass after the producer refused to give up the address of Puff's mother. Suge produces the outstanding defense, "I don't piss in champagne glasses." It's as beautiful as it is horrifying. 1996, a high school friend of Suge's opens a rival label. The friend thinks an artist on his label working with Suge is getting screwed. So in all of his infinite wisdom, he slaps Suge in the middle of a nightclub. What are you thinking? He's found dead 2 weeks later. The case is still unsolved. What were you thinking? Jesus Christ. At some point, he allegedly shoved a New York journalist's face inches from his piranha tank when the interviewer wouldn't stop questioning Suge's temper. Why would you question his temper? There's also the time when Happy Walters, a rap manager, dissed Knight on a track. He vanished while withdrawing money from an ATM, leaving only his wallet behind. Actually, that's kind of surprising. He was found 3 days later, incoherent, shaved, naked, and covered in cigar burns. He never explained what happened to him. He just quickly cut ties with a number of his better acts. Presumably, those acts then joined death row. And then in 1997, it kind of seems like his streak runs out. Like this lucky streak of the law just not sticking to him and everything going his way. I don't know what deity or what he pissed off that year, but everything just seemed to kind of turn on him. And it all started with this. Suge pleads guilty to that assault that occurred a few years ago. Pick one. Actually, specifically, I think it's the one where there were some new people that came to his death row building and decided to use a phone. He pistol whipped one and, like, shot in the direction of them. But he actually pleads guilty to that one. And because he hadn't been to prison yet, all of a sudden, the prosecutors are really looking to do some damage now. I don't know why they weren't in the past, but now they're serious. And they're really gonna crack down. They're gonna lock him away. They're gonna throw away the key. Yeah, so he was sentenced to 9 years, and he served 5. 5! But, like I said, this was the first in a marked shift in Suge's luck. And when he's released from jail 5 years later, you know, saying in jail how he's really changed and turned a leaf, yeah, it just all starts all over again. 2002, a member of G Unit, which is an East Coast group, opens his set with a song using unreleased Tupac vocals. Suge has him chased into the street by as many of Suge's people as he can get together until 50 Cent, who helped found the group, agrees to get on the phone and make things right. So 50, I don't know what the hell you said, but like, kudos. Christmas Eve of the same year, he goes back to prison after violating his parole on 4 counts. And he doesn't stay there for long. He's back out in February 2003, but he goes right back for 10 more months after fighting with a female parking lot attendant where his car was just blocked in. That's it. He, beat the out of her because his car was blocked in. And his attorney had the following to say. He did not hit her. It isn't true. It's bullshit. He did not hit her. He did not. Oh, hi, Mark. Okay, obviously that's not what he said. But, I mean, it's pretty close. I'll do the Tommy Wiseau again. That's totally ridiculous. I don't believe that at all. It's so un-Suge-like to hit somebody. It's kind of like a New York thing I had going. F it, we're using it. But the attorney did go on to say, have you seen the size of Suge? If he hit one of those little valets, the guy would be broken. Which, frankly, I do find a very believable offense. So, with all this time that Suge's in jail, the label crumbles. And I don't think anybody's surprised. I mean, especially not with, $107 million ownership case where his assets were frozen by the feds. Like, obviously, the label crumbles. There's eventually a bankruptcy taken over. And then 2005. So Suge's plan, I imagine, after all of this, after everything that's happened, I'm just gonna, hit this party up and I'm gonna drink my troubles away because this has been a bad couple of years for me. And so he's at Kanye West's VMA party where he's shot in the leg and has a 6-figure necklace stolen from him. Oof. And then, I think this is the point that just goes to show exactly how far he's fallen. Like, think back to what I was explaining a while ago of dangling a journalist's face over some piranhas, or specifically the time he goes in to threaten Eazy-E, and he, takes the whole crew in and clears out the building and makes these threats and no one wants to talk about it. So, when is this? 2008, he's in a nightclub and pisses off the wrong person, and a barber beats the shit out of him. There's videos of the barber on YouTube bragging about doing it. And the fact that, number one, the fact that he got to Suge. Number two, the fact that he, wasn't afraid to beat him up. Number three, the fact that he wasn't afraid to brag about it. And four, the fact that he's still alive really just says a lot. And it doesn't even end there. So 2008, he gets beaten up. 2009, he gets in another fight that sends him to the hospital. And then more problems with the law. 2013, he's pulled over, reminded that his license has been suspended, and gets to fork over $20,000 in bail. 2014, he shot an additional 6 times in a club. He not only survives, this man is such a badass. He gets up and I think walked himself into the ambulance. I'm pretty sure that's the story I heard. But things are sticking, and they're getting worse. So 2012, there's an incident in which he and Cat Williams, who's a comedian if you're unaware, steals a camera from the paparazzi. For this claim of stealing a camera from a paparazzi, arguably the thing that, like, I'm not even mad at him for that. Like, the thing that I would care the least about, he faces 30 years to life in prison. 30 years to life for taking a camera from a paparazzi if he's convicted. And that's still open. That's still unresolved. This could be a charge on top of what the video is about. Stealing a camera is the thing? Like, he shot people. He had people potentially murdered. And this is the one. But apparently it has to do something with California's 3-strike rule and the fact that he was on probation for how many times. This somehow makes the charge worse. I don't get it. But okay. So then we get to the fated incident. Exactly what this video is about. It's 2015, 3 years ago. Suge is on the set of Straight Outta Compton, which, if you are unfamiliar, Straight Outta Compton is basically entirely about the NWA and how they got started, and given what I explained earlier, you can see why Suge might be interested in being there, because I haven't seen it, but I imagine that he's probably in it in some way, shape, or form, and is just probably interested in seeing how things are being portrayed, because he was there for it. But while he's on set, at some point, Dre left the Death Row Records label. And if I recall, the reason he cited was because he was kind of tired of, like, the thuggish way that things were handled there. But presumably there was some bad blood. So Suge's on set, and he and Dre get into a fight. Now, at this point, they have someone that they've hired on for security. And his name is, I think, Clay. It's spelled C-L-E. I think that's Clay. Clay Sloan, or his nickname's Bone. Bone tells him, you know, you gotta leave. Not only that, don't come back. And so he leaves the set, eventually, and Terry Carter, who is a friend of Suge's, steps in. They go to a burger joint nearby, and reportedly, Carter is playing the role of peacemaker, which is something I think he was known for. Just trying to calm him down, like, show him that this could be dealt with in a different way. And while he's in the middle of doing this, Bone approaches the car. And there is footage. If you want to look it up yourself, go for it. It's, if you get the original version, pretty graphic, I'm not gonna lie. But so you can see in the video that he approaches the car, and you can kind of see the car rocking around, like something's going on. And apparently it's at that point that he punches through the window and is now beating out of Suge. It's not in frame though, but at this point, in self-defense, Suge throws the car in reverse, and I'm pretty sure the mirror of the car strikes Bone as he goes back. Now, at some point, Terry Carter exited the car, because he's also standing outside. And Suge supposedly saw that Bone had a gun. And that would kind of provide a reasoning for what happens next. And in some footage, supposedly you can see the gun get passed from Bone to someone else before the police arrive. But regardless of any of that, what in fact happened is that Suge, after reversing, put the car into gear. He shoots forward. And he not only hits Bone, but he strikes Terry. And the way that Terry falls, his wheels run over Terry, and he's killed pretty much instantly. After this, Suge doesn't stop. He doesn't call the police. He just drives off. And now, here we are. He pled no contest to voluntary manslaughter and agreed to serve 28 years in prison. And regardless of what you think, whether he deserved it or not, You cannot disagree. He was a walking legend. That's how many allegations and feuds throughout his life. Like, it's ridiculous. But let me know what you think down below. Do you think that's what happened? Do you think it was something different? Comment if you have other ideas for things that you'd be interested in hearing me research and attempt to explain. Like, I know. And subscribe. I don't know. Hit that bell. Smash that like button. Become a member of... I don't know. Anyway, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.